right.
Yay!
Yay!
Yay! Hello, welcome to episode 11 of the Georgie and Patty Show. Today we're going to be talking about sales, and we had this topic picked out, all ready to go for this week, and then I was just sitting down to write the email, and I'm sure some people who are here have seen that. Georgie sends me a text, like she does all the time. Every time we have good news about a client, we send each other a text because we get way more excited about what our clients are doing than we do about what we're doing. Saying, "Hey, call me when you see this. I've got good news." And the good news was that one of our clients had just made the second sale, woohoo, yay, which is super exciting. And then the next day, on Sunday during the day, Georgie checked in with another client, and she has made 7 sales so far, which is super, super exciting. And right before we got on this call, we were having this little conversation about the idea of kind of ordinary success and realistic results. Like, these are not these stunning results, not typical made $1 million overnight kind of things. These are just real people doing their thing, getting some clients, and doing it in a way that's comfortable. This is a big piece of it. A lot of our clients are not all that crazy about the sales the sales procedures, let's say, how to sell, and it's understandable. We have this idea of what sales means. I've got a dictionary definition of selling open in front of me right now, and it says stuff like to offer for sale, which is great, to give up property to another for something of value such as money, which is fine. However, it's got some kind of not so pleasant definitions: to deliver or give up in a violation of duty, trust, or loyalty, especially for personal gain; to exact a price for; to give into the power of another; to dispose of or manage for profit instead of in accordance with conscience, duty, or justice. Like, how terrible is that? To persuade or influence to a course of action or to the acceptance of doing something. There's this element of sales being making people do something that they don't want to do. To impose on, synonym, to cheat. This is not something that purpose-driven people want to do to their clients. And I think that this is part of some of the sales training we've been exposed to, is that that's what it's about. It's about changing people's minds. It's about converting them to your way of thinking. It's about being a little bit devious and maybe a lot manipulative to try and get people to do something that they don't want to do. And that, of course, is kind of the complete opposite of our approach. And today, Georgie's going to share with us, with everybody, the approach that we take towards sales, the kinds of things that we advise our clients, the structure that we work within, and it doesn't include any of that kind of unpleasant kind of things that are associated with sales, pushy enrollment scripts, trying to make people uncomfortable, grinding in pain, all of that no good, horrible, awful stuff. And instead, our quote of the day is that most people think selling is the same as talking, but the most effective salespeople know that listening is the most important part of the job. And that's a quote by a fellow named Roy Bartel. I have no idea who he is. However, he has very, very wise words to share with us. So with that quote for the day, I will turn over the controls to my wonderful partner, Georgie, who's going to share with us the 3 C's of selling for a purpose-based kind of a business.
Yay! Awesome. Such a perfect lead in. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now. I get to do the new thing. Can you see that? Yes?
I can see it.
Okay. Yay! Awesome. Welcome to the Georgie and Patty Show. Okay, there we go. Okay, so today, yeah, I'm going to share with you the 3 C's of an effective sales conversation. And this is really about authentic selling. It's about selling without being pushy, salesy, gross, disgusting, manipulative, slick and skeezy, all of those things. It's about doing this in a way that is really, really authentic and really in alignment with who you are. So our permission slip for today is your personality is absolutely perfect. So whether you're an introvert, whether you're an extrovert, none of those things actually matter, especially when it comes to this authentic selling. Just show up just as you are. Just as you are is perfect and actually the best way to show up. So today we're giving you permission to just be you when it comes to your business and your sales conversations. So when we look at authentic selling, which is for me really human-centered, really heart-to-heart, really caring about people, we get to use a lovely Venn diagram that I've come to love thanks to Patty. And within there's 3 parts of this authentic selling model. So the first section is actually to care about people, care about that person who's in front of you, care about that potential client. The second circle is to connection, right? We want to build a connection between what people want and what we offer. And then we want to close the sale. That's part of selling, is to actually take the cash, make the sale. Now where these circles intersect, so if we look at care and connection, that's where we start to build trust. When we have that connection, our trust starts to grow there. When we have the intersection between connection and we actually close the sale, that's where we start to make some cash. That's where the profit starts to come into our business. And then when we've closed these sales and we're still continuing the cycle of caring about people, that client, that future client, this is where we build loyalty. And from loyalty is where we get repeat buyers, where we get referrals, where we get people talking about us. So our whole conversation today is going to be around these 3 circles. And I'm going to just walk through each one and tell you a little bit about how we do it within these 3 circles. So let's start with care. This is that first initial conversation you are having with your possible future client. You need to get into their world. What really matters to them? What's important to them? Where are they stuck? Why are they even there with you? This has nothing to do with you at all. Nothing. This is everything about the person in front of you. So here's where you want to set yourself up for your call. You want to be really intentional and you want to be incredibly present. What's their world look like? It's curiosity. And when you're in this place, then we want to ask questions. What made you want to be on this call? What's going on for you right now? What does your life look like now? What would you like it to look like? Imagine what it would be if you had that. And here's the thing. We're not just going through a list of questions to ask. Like Patty said in the beginning, it's all about listening. Listen, listen, listen. Let them do way more talking than you do. Be present, because every human being, right, wants to be seen, heard, and understood. This is your chance to be that for the person in front of you. Now for us, part of our sort of care step here is we help our clients create assessments or plans for people. And these are super effective because you're walking a person through an assessment where they can self-assess where they're at. They get to see, oh, here's where I might be stuck. Here's where I might be struggling. And they come to that conclusion on their own. And before you ever go into telling them about anything you do, you want to make sure that these 3 pieces of the care circle are in place. And then what we often advise our clients is once people have kind of done their own self-assessment, they see what's there, then that's where you can ask permission to share what you do, right? This is what I help my clients with. Would you like to know more about that? And they will say yes or no. If they say yes, then you can move into that connection circle. And the first piece of that is that's where you can tell them about your product or service, but only in the way that's relevant to them. How does what you do solve their problem? So this isn't the space where you kind of run through every single thing that you do, all the different modules of your program or your service or how you do coaching, all of those things. It's all back to what's important to them. How do you solve their problem, right? If someone's like, I want to make more sales. Okay, great. I'm not going to tell them about, okay, well, you need to write a book, you need to do this, you need to do that. I want to relate it back to what they've said to me. How does what I do help them get from where they are to where they want to be? So it becomes a very flexible thing, right? It's a conversation. Sales is really just a conversation with someone else to see how you can make their life or their business better. We're all, and we've talked about this so many times about it's always client centered. So your solution is always something that's only going to matter to them with where they're at right now. So once you've done that, then you start to bridge that gap and make that connection between what you do and how you can help them with where they're at right now. How are you going to help them get what they want? Then let them ask you questions, whatever questions come up for them, right? And just answer them. Be open to answering questions. A lot of people, I think, they're like, what if they object? What if they have too many questions? What if I don't know the answer? And we almost want to avoid this a little bit. Welcome it, because this does two things for you, actually. One, you get to build more trust. You get to answer the questions. Two, it gives you more research for your product or services. What questions are people asking you? This can then be, put back into your marketing, how you do things, into your next conversation. So welcome the questions and then just answer them. And when you're answering the questions, always, always, always be honest. Don't oversell what you can do, right? Stay in your sandbox where you play in. So like for us, if someone was to come to us and go, yeah, well, what I really want is I want you to create an amazing Facebook ad campaign for us. We don't do Facebook ad campaigns. Now we can help you, Patty can help you with the words, the words for what you might want to put in your ad. We can help you distill the data you've got from doing sales conversations and talking to your clients, and what are the words they are using that will most likely make those ads more effective. But we are not experts in Facebook ad campaigns. So we're not going to promise you that we can build you a Facebook ad campaign that's going to convert, because we don't know, because we don't do that. So we will always be honest with what we can do for you. And I would highly, suggest that you do that when you're talking to your clients too, because that also continues to build that trust. We talk a lot about that know, like, and trust. We love it when people are just honest with us, and yeah, we're happy to help you with different things, and know that that's not our sandbox, and we'll do what we can. But really, really be honest, be who you are. And I think that's the other piece of this honesty thing too. If you're an introvert, be an introvert. If you're an extrovert, be an extrovert. If you're a little bit giggly and laughy and you're bobble your head all the time, right? But show up really authentically. Be you in your business. It's really, really important. And it's going to help you build that know, like, and trust a lot faster, because on a subconscious level, I believe we pick up those kind of energy frequencies or whatever when we aren't showing up as who we really are. Once you've done that, now we're going to move into the close. This is the most important piece here. Ask for the sale. And if you have done the care part right really well, you've done the connection really well, you've built that bridge, often they will ask you, so how do I do this? So how do I work with you? How do I get started? And if they don't, and this is a lot of stuff we do with our clients too, is we help people to recognize what are those signals that people are giving you that they're indicating, I'm ready for you to ask me now. Because often we talk too much. We don't listen enough and we're missing the cues. So the first step of closing is ask, would you like to work with me? When would you like to get started? And let them answer you. Now, you might get one of three things. Yes, I'd love to work with you. So amazing, so excited. And like I said, often if you've done circle 1 and circle 2 really well, they'll bring it up first. They might say, no, not for me. Great. Like no forever, no, not right now. But maybe it's just no. Or they might say, I need to think about it. I need to talk to it with my spouse. I'm not really sure right now. I need some more information. All of these are completely acceptable answers, and how you handle each one is a little bit different. And so when you get these answers, the next thing you want to know is you want to know, what do I do when I get one of these answers? Make sure you have things in place for what that next step looks like. So if it's a yes, do I have, my email ready to go? Do I have a contract? Do I know how to take money? If it's a no, what do I do in that situation? If it's a, I need to think about it, do you know what to do in that situation? Make sure you're prepared. It's really important, because then you continue building the trust, because people know, oh, okay, she knows what to do here, or he knows what to do here. He's taking care of me through each step of this process. Really, really important. And often we forget. We often get excited about the yes. Great, I'll talk to you later. Not such a good idea. No, oh my God, they said no. Cry, cry, cry. Or they say, I'll think about it. What does that mean? And then we start coming up with all different kinds of things. So being prepared for these situations, super, super, super important. Because remember, it's just a human over there, it's just a human being in front of you, and be prepared. Then, regardless of which one of those you have, we need to nurture our people. We need to take care of them. So if they've become a client, you want to continue and foster that relationship, because this is, again, where we start to build the loyalty. This is where the referrals come from. This lets people know more about who you are as a human being. Would I trust other people with this person? Or do they just take my money and, then they don't care about me anymore, right? It's like almost like a cycle. We're going right back into caring about people. You still want to know about them. You still want to know what's important to them. Really, really, really nurture people, because this is where the word of mouth comes from. Like I say, the loyalty, the referrals, the new seeds. Suddenly now you're not the only one planting seeds. The people you've been in contact with are planting seeds. Really, really key. Like I say, really, really key to all of them, because they are really, really key, all of them. But once you do these things really, really well, and they take practice, we know that. That's why we've implemented practice steps, because we know it's really important to practice, to get comfortable. These aren't skills that we're often just naturally born with. But when you do this well, it's very conversational, it's very authentic, it feels good. The last thing you ever come across as is skeezy or sleazy or salesy. You are literally having a conversation with someone, seeing where they're struggling, where their problem is, and then if you can, and if it's a fit, you are giving them a solution that they can either take or not take, something that can make their life or their business better. This is how this works. And when you do this, you'll go from one client to 2 clients to 3 clients to 4 clients, and it starts to just grow and grow and grow, all in a really, really authentic, caring, natural, human-centered, heart-to-heart, really loving, beautiful way. And that's it. That is the process that we use. That is the process we teach our clients. The 2 clients I talk to on the weekend, this is the exact steps they take in building their business, getting those clients that, people say you might not be able to get right now. But I think now more than ever, with the environment that we're in, this authentic, caring, human-centered approach is actually what's going to get you sales right now. So that's my talk for the day.
Do we have any questions, any comments?
I'll stop sharing right now, and then I won't man the chat. It's so nerve-wracking.
I've got a note in here about selling 2 packages last week and moving to virtual sessions, and therefore expanding the geographic market. Super, super, super smart for anybody that's doing in-person work. If there's any way at all to go virtual, you can provide, you can still help your clients, but just in a different way.
Yes.
You mentioned 3 parts of the care to be in place before you move to the connected. What were the 3 parts of the care?
So the 3 parts of the care is, number 1 is you want to get into their world, right? So make that connection, get really present, and step into their world. The second part of that is to ask questions. Be curious, ask questions, and listen. Get really, really clear on what their world is and what's going on for them, what their problem is and what they want to look for. And then the third piece of that is to summarize that, right? You want to make sure you really understand what their problem is. So, right, if I hear what you're saying right now, you're coming to me because you feel like your sales conversations are falling apart. You're getting the call, you're getting the lead, you're getting on the phone with them, but something's happening in that conversation, and so you're not getting the sales that you want. Is that right? Right? Ask questions, get clear with them. So yeah, so get into their world, ask the questions, listen, and then summarize what their problem is. All from the perspective of being curious and caring about them.
It's a comment that it's a good summary you're making about summarizing. I love
Well,
the meta.
thank you.
Love the meta. That is awesome. Okay, we have a question. Do you find yourselves doing quite a few referrals to other people's sandboxes or services, or is that pretty rare for you two?
I refer to people all the time. For sure, right? I mean, it depends on what it is that someone would come to me as with, for us, I would say. And if someone's even in working with us and we know someone else that would help them, yeah, I think for me, it's because I am a connector and I love people. I know a lot of people that do a lot of really great things. So it would be a natural thing for me to say, ooh, oh, you're looking for this? I know somebody who does that. I know somebody who does this for sure. Yeah, definitely.
And I would say too, just to kind of pile on to that, Georgie makes a lot more connections than I do. Just like the introvert hermit perspective here. Is that the clearer you get about your messaging and about your marketing, the more likely you are to have conversations that are good future clients for you, because you've made it very, very clear about what you do. And anytime you get a referral or somebody expresses interest in what you do and it's completely like not really related to what you do, that's actually an indication that you need to pay attention to the messaging that you're putting out to the world. You may be confusing people, and if you're attracting the wrong people, that's one of those things to take a look at and go, okay, I need to get clearer about what I offer and who it's for.
Exactly.
So there's the 2 angles.
Totally. Well, and sometimes you find people that do things that are complementary to what you do that are things that you don't do. So like if I take the Facebook ad thing, right? We might have someone that's amazing at putting together Facebook ad campaigns. And we're like, hey, we will help you on the wording for what could go in that. And we don't do Facebook ad campaigns, but let's partner over here to do Facebook ad campaigns for this person, or someone that does social media management or things like that are adjacent to what you do, that you can kind of refer back and forth to for areas of things that you don't do.
I'll just throw in there, if you happen to be listening in and you happen to be a person who is brilliant at managing Facebook ad campaigns, or Google pay-per-click campaigns, or what did you just say? Social media management.
Yeah.
If you happen to be one of those people, we would happen to like to talk to you.
Graphic design.
Yes. We have a note here. Love your quotes of the day, but can't write them down fast enough. Could you post them somewhere so we can find them later? Oh, what a great content marketing idea! Thank you for the suggestion.
You will. And I'll just say you'll start seeing them on our page. Actually, so tomorrow I'll post the quote for today on our 10K page.
Excellent. I'm guessing it's mutual and you're getting referrals from others also. Yeah, it is. And here's the thing about referrals, and this is one of the things that I think people don't quite grasp. Referrals are not necessarily a back and forth exchange between you and a referral partner. We often like to think about, oh, it should be kind of like even Steven. I'm going to refer to you and you're going to refer back to me, and I'm going to refer to you and you're going to refer back to me, and we're going to bounce back and forth like a tennis ball, and we're both going to have an equal number of referrals to come from the other people. The reality is it's more like a web, and what you may find is that you're kind of lobbing referrals to people, and it's kind of one directional a lot of the time, and then you're catching balls that are coming from other people, also one directional. That's not a bad thing necessarily, and we don't all well, first of all, if you're a connector, you're probably sending you're probably the center of more balls going through than if you're not. uh, but it's not necessarily a bad thing if the referrals are only going in one direction. I like to believe that in the larger scheme of things, that people who are giving referrals are also the people who are getting referrals. I think that that's how it goes, but it's not necessarily a back and forth relationship.
Exactly. And I think if you're looking at it as back and forth, you might want to think about what you believe about a referral partner, or what that looks like. Or am I only giving to get? Or like, right? There's so many things that can come underneath that.
Oh, there you go. There's a little hint about what we're going to be talking about on Wednesday about beliefs.
Yes.
Excellent to think about caring and nurturing people after the initial call, regardless of whether it worked with you or not. They could be great referrers, even if they choose not to work with you right now. Absolutely. I had a call about a year ago from somebody who said they were referred, and then they gave the person's name, and I'm like, I could not place the name. Look through my past client list, not in there. And then I did kind of a search. I wanted to dig it up. It's like, why is this person referring me? And then I saw it, like I found it on my calendar. It was a coffee meeting. I had a coffee meeting with that person, gave them lots of free advice, and it's like, oh, it all came back. We had a lovely connection, a lovely coffee meeting, and she thought of me something like 6 years later. That conversation stood out in her mind, and she referred someone else to me based on some free advice that I gave years ago. This is what we talk about all the time in terms of marketing. How can you be helpful to people? How can you share something useful? How can you connect with people? And it may not come around the way that just did, but every time you do that, you're planting seeds, you're growing your reputation, you're making an impact on people, and that to me is a better strategy for building a referral business than some kind of like an agreement or forced referral kind of a situation.
Totally agree.
Abundance consciousness versus a scarcity consciousness, absolutely. The person I get the most referrals from talks about we're making a larger pie. It's not about fighting over the pieces of the pie. We're making a larger pie. And absolutely, the people who have an abundance consciousness are the ones that are going to send referrals. The ones that have a scarcity perspective are the ones that are going to take on clients that they can't really help because they're outside of their expertise, but they're like, oh, but it's a possible client, so I'm going to take their money, even though I can't necessarily help them. Not necessarily good for your business long term.
Exactly.
I don't want to get too many referrals from people when I'm just starting out. Sounds like I shouldn't be worrying much about that. Absolutely not. You'll grow into it. It reminds me of Barbara Scher's comment about people worried in her Right Speak program about people worried that they're going to get too famous. And she's like, I can walk down the streets of New York City through Central Park and nobody knows who I am. It ain't going to happen. You pay for referrals. Personally, I don't like that practice. Others have a different perspective. Georgie?
I don't pay for referrals either. But just, yeah, it's just my personal, I think it's just my personal way of being. I think I just believe what goes around comes around, and I'm happy to, if I can't be of service and you have something that's better, I'm happy to just keep the cycle going, I guess.
And I think too, once you do that, you start to enter kind of a transactional relationship, and things. And actually, it's been my experience that the best referral partners are not necessarily into that.
Yeah.
comment. I'm often part of a team for a project provides a total package to clients, so we all contribute our skills and get a slice of the pie. Brilliant way to look at it. Absolutely, to team up with people. Hey, we should do that, Georgie. We should
We should
team
do
up
that.
together.
Yeah. The collaborative stuff, I think it's so great because you learn new things too. You bring different perspectives to your clients as well, which is also super, super useful. Yeah, I love collaboration. It's way more fun too. And I like fun.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Well, and it's nice to have someone too to celebrate things with. When you get excited, like, oh, when a client does really well, I can get really excited and it's really great, but it's so awesome to be able to text Patty and go, call me, got good news, and we can celebrate together for that client instead of me bouncing around the house by myself, excited. Which I do until she calls me back, but yeah.
And then we're both bouncing around
Exactly.
our separate houses getting excited.
Exactly.
It does. It kind of keeps the energy up, and you don't have to have an official partnership to do that kind of thing. You can have a buddy. You can have a business buddy that you connect with to share the wins and to brainstorm with.
Totally. Yeah, like the conversations with other people, it's important.
Yeah.
And you can do it over Zoom. So even now, when you can't get together in real life, you can still do it over Zoom.
Yeah, and I think it's really important too, for those of us who are focused on the future and attempting to keep the energy up. Um, it can be really, really helpful to find some people that will support you in that, where you can talk about something other than doom and gloom and what the news is giving us every day. Really important to be able to continue to focus on that light at the end of the tunnel, which is not a train.
Exactly. That's awesome.
Oh, we got a smiley face. I was hoping it was another question. We're out of questions. If we're out of questions, Georgie has to sing.
No, yeah, I might sing anyway, but yeah. Any questions about your sales conversations? Like if you're challenged in talking to people or any part of that conversation, please ask questions right now. Like and you can ask them in the Q&A anonymously if you want. You can ask them in the chat just to us. You can ask them where everyone can see them. But this is really a good opportunity to be able to ask questions where you might be getting stuck when you're talking to people, because we see this. There are typically some key spots where people get stuck. And when those spots get tweaked, you will have better conversations and better results. And you can do it absolutely in a conversational way. It does not have to be pushy, manipulative, any of those things. And if you have sales scripts that you follow, great. And you always want to make them your own. Like for us, we give our clients I'm going to call it a loose format, but definitely a format to follow when they're getting started. And then we help fill it with your own words and how you would actually talk to people. So, yeah.
What do you say in response to, I need to talk to my spouse first?
Great. Awesome. Okay. Is there any more information you need from me to be able to take to your spouse? When do you think you'll be talking to them? What date should I put in to follow up? Because here's the reality, and I know this goes against a lot of what some of the traditional sales people will teach you, is that when someone says they need to think about it, or someone says, I need to talk to my spouse first, there's almost this way of shaming people to convince them to buy now, or that for some reason they're wrong for having to talk to their spouse. But maybe you don't know what kind of relationship they have. Maybe for them, they've made an agreement that neither one of them purchases anything without talking to the other one first. Great. But the key thing that you want is to have a follow-up date. That's what you write. So when you sort of end your conversation, within your sales conversation, you want a yes or a no or a follow-up date. That's what you want. One of those three things. So if they have to think about it, they need more information, they need to talk to their spouse, great. Is there anything you can do to help them make that decision? How long do you want to think about it? Is there something I missed that you're unclear on? What do you need to think about this? You know, any of that stuff, because this is a conversation with another human being. And I'm guessing that at some point, all of us have probably thought or said to someone, I want to think about that. Like sometimes it might be a cop out, but let's hold people as, you know, honest and truthful and doing the best they can in front of us. And so, great. Okay. How can I help you with that? Just get a follow-up date. You know? Because yeah, and because here's the other thing. When someone and this is the other thing when people come to you with objections, right? I'll share a little 3-step thing for objections, right? Step 1, agree with them. Great. Okay. I understand how that, I can see that from your point of view. Accept it as truth. For them, it's true. Great. Then when you do that, 2 things happen. They feel seen, they feel heard, they feel understood, and then you can suggest something else. Oh, great. I hadn't thought about that. I can see from where you're coming from where you might have that point of view. Would you be open to me sharing another suggestion with you or a different perspective and see what that feels like? So much nicer. Instead of saying, yeah, you're wrong. That's a dumb objection, right? And really coming from getting yourself, here's the other thing, getting yourself into that space of being sincere about it. Actually being, great. Okay, I accept that that's totally true for you. Hadn't thought about it. I guess if I thought that and I was in that space, that might be true for me too, because it opens up the space to be able to offer another point of view, another perspective.
I want to jump back just a second to this idea of I have to talk to my spouse, or more commonly, I have to think about it.
Yeah.
Here's reality and here's truth coming from a sample size of 1. And I know I'm not the only person who does this. If some of us would rather say I think about it than to say no. That is a reality. And sometimes, and this has been over the last couple of weeks, Georgie and I have started doing role plays with our clients on sales conversations, and I've had the wonderful experience of being a potential client for a number of people. And I'm noticing in myself, like when I'm immersed in a role play, I'm there, I'm in it. And I'm noticing for myself that sometimes I feel this response of, oh, this would be exactly the point of time where I'd say I have to think about it. And what I really mean is no. And the reason I mean no is that the person that is explaining what it is that they're selling or how it works or what it costs has kind of mangled it. And I'm confused and I'm not sure what's what, and I'm a little bit overwhelmed and I'm not sure where to go from here. And my natural inclination is to withdraw and just say, okay, let me think about that. So if you find yourself getting that response a lot, there's a very good chance that something in how you are presenting what you are offering is confusing to people. Because the other reality is, by the time somebody is willing to get on a call with you to have a conversation that they expect is going to lead to them buying from you, there's a very, very good chance that they're going to say yes. You know, by the time you have that conversation with them, they're highly interested. Most people don't get onto sales conversation calls for fun. Some people might do. It might be some kind of a sport for some people, but for most people, if they're going to invest that kind of time talking to somebody, they're actually interested in what you're doing. So if you're getting a lot of I need to think about it, there's a good chance that there's something that you're doing in that conversation that's triggering that response. Also, true is that some people, especially those of us of the introvert persuasion, really do need some time to think about it. So it can be difficult to parse this out. Um, there's a conversation in the chat that says, "Love your responsive, great," at the beginning of this, and that's kind of where I go with it too. When someone tells me they have to think about it, I'm going like, "That's awesome." I think it's really smart to think about something like this that's going to be a significant investment, because you really need to be all in to have this payoff. So I applaud your decision to think about it. I think that's great. And then from there, you can also say, and it's been in my experience, sometimes when people say that, it's because I said something that's confused them, or they have a question that I haven't answered. If that's the case, please, I'm happy to back up and re-explain things, or fill in blanks if that's required.
Exactly. Because it's a conversation, right? We're having a conversation here. And I think what you brought up is so great is, if we have had these thoughts and sales conversations with other people when we're looking to buy it, why would it be any different for someone else that's in front of us? And I think Patty makes a good point where when she's thinking, when I'm thinking that, it's usually because I'm confused and I really want to say no. So it goes back to that thing of also being able to step into the world of the person in front of you, and then being able to say, oh, yeah, in my experience, it's been that. Maybe was I unclear? Can I, like, it's so conversational instead of trying that shame-based manipulative kind of convince you to buy when you get those responses, right? But it goes back to just be human. Think about yourself as the human and the human that's in front of you. And it's totally okay to say those things. Was I not clear? I know sometimes when I get like that, I feel like I actually just want to say no because I'm confused. Was I not clear to you? Like, it's totally okay to have a conversation with somebody.
It is. It's a conversation. And when you look at it as a conversation to determine fit, it has a whole different energy going into it than if you look as a conversation to, what do I say to convince them to say yes to me?
Exactly.
And that answers a lot of questions you might have about it as you go along. It's like, okay, is this person actually a good fit? The question that they're asking, is this an indication that they're going to be a great client, or is this an indication that they're going to be a pain in the ass client? Like, part of it is you evaluating that other person. And sometimes some of the stuff that we get back from somebody that we don't know how to handle is just dropping the little hint that they might not be a good fit.
Exactly.
So something
Because
to keep in mind too.
you can say no. Just because someone got on a sales call with you does not mean that you have to say yes to them, right? It's a conversation to see if there's a fit on both ends. Not just, well, who I can make a sale, but do you actually want it? And that's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, it's a powerful place to come into a conversation as well.
Yeah.
Is in this mindset that, yeah, let's see if this works, and to be totally okay, to be excited with the possibility that it could be a yes, and also to be totally relaxed and comfortable with the idea that it might not be a fit and that it can go either way. It takes a lot of the pressure off and
Mm-hmm.
gets you back into this space of how to have a conversation with the human being in front of me. So note in the comment, love the idea of a self-evaluation. Perhaps it's something they can start with before they call. Then when we call, we can go through it as they listen and understand their word. We would say yes, and our advice is to do it on the call with them, so that it gets done. Sometimes when we give people homework, they don't do it and they disappear. And these sales conversations, to do them well and to make this connection, it's not about efficiency. It's not about how many you can shoot through in an hour kind of thing. It's every call is a chance to engage with clients. So yes, you can give them some things to think about before you get on the call, um, but highly suggest that you go through an assessment with them interactively. Then you don't get their edited responses. You get their stream of consciousness, exactly what they're thinking when they respond to you. You'll get more, I don't want to say more honest answers, but you'll get some answers that you wouldn't get otherwise because they won't go through the filter of time.
Exactly. And you also start to build that trust as you go through that conversation. So people will tend to tell you, and you've probably heard Patty talk about this before, about like level 1 and level 2 problems. So level 1 things they'll just say out loud. Level 2 are those things they're thinking that they might not necessarily say publicly. But the more trust you build with someone, and as they go through that assessment with you and your trust builds, they will get more comfortable and probably share a little deeper than they would if they did it kind of beforehand.
What are your thoughts on price matching with other companies? We sometimes have clients that say they've shopped around and found 1 or 2 other companies that charge less than us, and they request a price match. I'm going to give you a great all-purpose answer. It depends.
I think it's also a great opportunity for a conversation. Let's talk about it. What are they offering? Like, it's everything. All of these kinds of things are great opportunities for conversations.
And I would say one of the answers that you would want to have prepared before heading into conversations is kind of a checklist of what you offer that's superior to your competitors or different from your competitors, so that if something like this comes up, you can have that conversation, and you can have it from this area of strength where you can bring in some information that they may not have considered, the reasoning behind why you charge what you do. And often this is what people are looking for, is kind of like, okay, well, why are your prices higher? How can I justify spending more money on this? How can I explain this to my boss? Because I really want to work with you instead of those other people. So if you give them some good logical reasons, that can be helpful. The other thing I'd invite you to think about is this kind of assessment. Is this potentially a client that you would really love to work with and they're looking for something that they can explain to their boss? Or is this somebody that's purely making a decision based on price, isn't going to value you, and will leave the minute somebody drops their price by 50 cents? So it's a question, a couple of questions to consider there in terms of deciding whether or not you want to work with them. Hardest part is actually picking up the phone. Now phone numbers often to business that is closed, finding connection first on LinkedIn working well, and scheduling calls from there. Excellent.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Find a way.
Exactly. And I think too, with the world of social media, and especially LinkedIn, it's great because people get to sort of see you before they make contact with you. Awesome. Perfect. And then you can, like I say, get them on the phone. It's awesome. And yeah, the hardest part is actually usually picking up the phone, sending the first email, right? Those kinds of things. And again, because I know we're going into beliefs on Wednesday, start thinking about, what do you believe about picking up the phone? What do you believe about yourself for making those calls or sending those emails? All of those kinds of things. The further you dive into what you believe that's creating that discomfort or that challenge for you, we sort of out it, and we can kind of work through it. So the same thing with sales conversations, right? When you think of selling, what do you believe about it?
And what do you believe about that person that's on the other end of the phone, right?
Exactly.
And do things shift when you think about them as your future client versus somebody that you have to convince?
Exactly. Yeah. Or someone, what's that one they used to say? Just imagine everyone's just sitting there in their underwear or whatever it is. Imagine they're your future client. Would you imagine your future client sitting there in their underwear? I'm not sure.
All bets are off now that people are working from home.
It's so true.
You can't be 100% assured that they're wearing pants.
Or underwear.
Even if you're on a Zoom call.
So true. I'm wearing pants, by the way. Just saying.
So am I. They may be pajama bottoms, but they are pants.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we got 3 minutes left. 2 minutes left. If
2 minutes
you
left.
have any last minute questions, we'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to talk about guarantees, and not just 30 days money back. What are your policies? That kind of thing, but actually a few. I'm calling it like the secret life of guarantees or something like that. There's more to them than meets the eye. There's a few mind shifts that can be involved in thinking through guarantees and what they look like, and they can be extremely powerful in your marketing for a number of reasons. So we're going to go into them with maybe some insights that you haven't considered before. So I'll leave that there as a reason to tune in tomorrow to look at guarantees. And then on Wednesday, we're going to talk about those beliefs. Georgie's going to talk about those beliefs.
Yep.
You're very welcome. Thank you for being here with us. Seeing people on the call, joining us live gives us the energy to keep on going. If you have ideas, if you have topics that you want us to cover, if you have a burning question, please send us an email or pop it in Facebook, direct message, whatever. If you're going to do Facebook stuff, do it, Georgie. And we'll see you here tomorrow, the same bat time, same bat channel. Bye now.
Bye.